As everyone knows, a baby formula shortage, which probably presages a everything shortage, which is coming down the pike at us, itself a conversation for another time.
Or not coming down the turnpike at us
failing
as a result
down,
of
yes.
diesel fuel.
So you're about to have nothing coming down the pike at you.
And be happy.
Own nothing, be happy. Yes. Well, if you find yourself in possession of a baby, as we do not, and also find yourself unable to produce enough milk for your baby. And this, I have not been paying much attention to the baby formula thing in particular because too often the reason, as I have understood, is the reason that people need baby formula is because they're choosing not to breastfeed. And that should not be a choice that feels natural or normal to people. Babies do best on breast milk. They just do. However, there are lots of situations actually, and probably these are accelerated or entirely created by modernity. But everything from preemies to other conditions that cause a mother to want to breastfeed, to produce breast milk, but not enough for their child, means that in some cases there will need to be something that is not breast milk that babies are getting fed.
Also, adoption.
Yeah. Adoption. Not lesbian parents when one of the women gestated, but gay male parents, right? So yeah, lots of situations in which you're in possession of a baby, and you need something and you can't produce it from your own body. But prefab formula is gross, and I never looked into it really. But just like most of the alternative quote unquote milks out there, made from various nuts, are actually just filled with gums and seed oils and all sorts of fillers, basically to stabilize them, or else no one would drink them if you just ground up a bunch of nuts and put it on a supermarket shelf and let it sit for a week or two. They would separate and then start to go rancid very quickly. Excuse me. So formula has this problem, but in some ways even more so. And of course, it's more important that formula, if that's what you have to be feeding your baby, be free and clear of all of that crap, the additives, the fillers, the gums, the seed oils. Then the older you are, the better you can withstand some amount of insult in the form of toxicity to your body. So a friend of mine, naturopath, Dr. Danny Lockwood, has on her website, and it was actually, and so these are two new friends of ours. Danielle is the naturopath, and her husband Richard. When their lovely child was born, Zach, you can show my screen if you will. When their lovely child was born 3 years ago, they found that Danny couldn't produce as much milk as she wanted. She says this. I'm not giving away any stories here. And Richard went and produced a formula for formula that doesn't have all the crap in it. So
a
really,
formula
that is here. And so I'm just going to link to this in the show notes. I'm not going to walk through why he's used all of it or any of that, but just say we have since met this child. Not when she was a baby, 3-year-old, and she is a charming, healthy, smart, amazing child. And lots of kids are who got fed crap, but certainly it would be better if you didn't. And I just wanted to share that if you find yourself in the position of not producing enough milk for a child that you need to feed and is too young to be eating other things, that this is a really good possibility.
Right. Now, I haven't looked at this. I assume it's good stuff. We obviously can't know for sure, but really the point is, does it outcompete store-bought stuff? Which it is almost certain to, and I have every expectation it's very high quality. But
exactly.
There was something else to say there.
Zach, may I have my screen back? Thank you, love. I guess the one other thing that I was going to say is I was reminded when I was thinking about this, and I looked through and I actually just noticed, sunflower oil is on there. I probably wouldn't use sunflower oil. I'd use avocado oil or olive or something. But I was reminded of a line that had jumped out of me when I was reading The Road to Wigan Pier, the George Orwell book that we talked about back in episodes 117 and 118. And the line that was one that I did not share when we were talking about the book back in March was, this is from Orwell, "We may find in the long run that tinned food is a deadlier weapon than the machine gun." He, as in so many things, was prescient. And one of the reasons that this particular conclusion of his struck me is that it is a perfect analogy for much of modernity, and for the fact that when it's active physical force, you can see it, it's obvious, there's no denying it. Who's going to claim it's not dangerous? Obviously, it's like a machine gun. It's understood to be a weapon. Whereas once it has the label on it that says, this is a lifesaver, this is going to help you out, this is going to increase your convenience, this is going to save you time, this is going to make your life better, it's much harder for people to conclude, actually, that may be the wolf in sheep's clothing. I'd rather just have the wolf, thank you very much, so that I can see it, and maybe I'll still make that choice, but I really want to know what it is that I'm accepting. And certainly most baby formula is like that. Most of these, everything from alternative milks, but I just found, I forgot to send you, Zach, but I just found in the aisles of one of the just excellent, we have such excellent grocery stores here in Portland. And yet even in one of our excellent grocery stores, I found canned raisin bread, which I thought, I know there's no need for canned raisin bread.
Right.
I am 100% certain of this. And some people will presumably pull it off the shelf, not as a joke, and open up a can of bread, pour it out, and I don't even know what happens next.
It's almost worth buying a can just to find out what's in there.
What happens when you open it up? It's snakes or something. But anyway, the idea that, again, to quote Orwell, we may find in the long run that tinned food is a deadlier weapon than the machine gun. Just extraordinary. It's the things that you have been told are good for you. It's the things that you're being told are going to make your life easier. It's the things that you're being told have solved the problems that humans have been dealing with forever. Really. So we know now that things like modern orthodontia and giving babies only very soft food to chew on, and high sugared drinks because we love it and it tastes good, well, that makes our teeth rot. So I just came up with 3 things that are about dentistry, but it's all over the place. And we talk about in our book, on A Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century, some of the liners in tinned in the canning process, when you're doing it for mass production, are now understood to be these, to be causing long-term effects. Now that's quite different from saying, actually, I'm going to put up a bunch of my fresh produce that I grew or that I bought at the farmer's market at home, and keep an eye on it and make sure that I know what it looks like if it ended up not being fully preserved. But pulling a jar of your own homemade jam or pickled asparagus or whatever it is off your shelf that you made with ingredients that you know and without anything that you can't pronounce is quite different from saying, okay, well, if it's canned, it's canned. If I canned it or if Procter & Gamble canned it, it must be the same thing. Well, no.
Yeah,
in part because you have very different incentives. You have very different incentives,
and it's very, it's a version of the demarcation problem where you don't know, canned peaches aren't as good as peaches. Right. But they are fruit that you can have in the winter, right? So it might be better than not having them, right? In glass is going to be better than in metal, right? Assuming the right kind of glass, not a leaded glass, which of course you wouldn't be able to buy in a canning context. But the point is, at what point have you modified it enough that an alarm bell should go off? Right. And each little step might not be the step, there's some straw that breaks the camel's back, but which one is it?
Yes.
But canned anything, including, if you think back to the conversation we were just having, canned perspectives are in some way the same thing, right?
Maybe that's what was in the canned raisin bread. Perspectives.
Well, it's a little bit, what is the New York Times? Like, it's a perspective canner now. It was a newspaper and it's become a perspective canner. And the point is, if you want to be comforted about the new gender chaos, you can have it in your canned perspective right along with your sense about who the science cranks are and who the proper authorities are, right? It's all prepared for you.
How just simple, everything, exactly. It's all prepared, and it goes to Ukraine, it goes to gender ideology, it goes to COVID, it goes everywhere.
Right, it goes everywhere, and the point is, it comes with hidden costs that are nowhere described, right? The hazard to you of accepting the canned perspective is tremendous, just the same way, accepting food that's soft because it's convenient may cause you to need thousands of dollars of orthodontia and then tens of thousands of dollars of implants down the road, right? The point is the hazard is actually quite large, but it sure doesn't feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and, just simply having something that's too soft doesn't cause you to have these. The point is it's the displacing of the stuff that would properly cause your jaw to form in a robust way.